Experts drain Niagara Falls. Find object never meant to see the light of day. One of the most famous landmarks in both Canada and America is without a doubt Niagara Falls. For nearly 200 years, ever since the 1800s, thousands of tourists have come to behold this natural marvel. Daredevils have also been drawn to this treacherous site, and many a photographer has photographed this beautiful sight. However, during 1969, Niagara Falls revealed a rather dark secret that it had been hiding for so long. During that time, the waters of the Niagara Falls, which are normally torrential and dangerous, had been reduced to little more than a trickle. This unusual state led to the famous falls divulging a secret that scared tourists and adventurers alike. The grisly discovery stunned and horrified everyone. In 1964, residents on the New York side of the falls started to notice that the fall's waters were dwindling. The normally torrential waters became less and less so over time. No one knew what was going on, but this situation puzzled and concerned everyone. They might not know the cause, but everyone knew that it was not a good sign. 3 different waterfalls combined to create Niagara Falls. One of these falls is known as the American Falls. However, this waterfall is known for the fact that it is self-destructive. The water that flows over falls have been steadily eroding it. As the rocks that get eroded fall to the bottom of the falls, they collect and pile up over time, which is known as a talus. The American Falls talus was almost half as high as the cliff itself. To create a talus that tall required a huge amount of rock. Not only was the fact that the falls were eroding cause for concern, but this talus was starting to interfere with the normal flow of the water. The residents of New York were becoming very concerned. One of their primary concerns was that this would ruin the normally spectacular view on the American side of the falls. The people were concerned that there would be a severe loss of revenue on the American side of the falls if the water stopped. If that happened, the view would not be as beautiful. As a result, fewer tourists would visit the area. These fears were not unfounded, and the residents of Niagara Falls, New York knew it. Something had to be done. Then, a project to maintain the falls was launched. Both the Canadian and the American authorities decided to work together to solve the issue. To this end, they contacted the International Joint Commission and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Together, a plan was devised to save the falls. However, the plan would require a lot of resources, and it would not be an easy task at all. The project was viewed, discussed, and ultimately approved. The project was officially launched in June of 1969. The first task would be to stop the flow of the water completely. Unless the water was stopped, the real work could not begin. As long as the water was going, no one could imagine the talus. The plan to restore the falls would require 280,000 cubic yards of rock to be removed from the talus. If the rock was removed, the water would return to its normal flow. The engineers involved brought approximately 27,000 tons of stone and earth to the site. As strange as it seems to bring more rock to a site they wanted to remove rock from, this was crucial to the project. The rock and earth were brought to the site to create a cofferdam. A cofferdam needed to be built in order for the water to be pumped out so that they could have a clear, dry area to work on the talus. The construction took some time, but once the cofferdam was in place, the water from the American Falls was temporarily redirected to adjoining Horseshoe Falls. The Horseshoe Falls border the Niagara Falls on either side. When the American Falls was finally stopped, the riverbed below was revealed, and the engineers got their first look at the bottom of the American Falls. The engineers were expecting to see various geological features that hadn't been seen above water for nearly 12,000 years. Understandably, everyone was excited to see such a rare sight. While they did find what they expected, they also found more. Everyone was shocked by the shocking discoveries that were revealed as well. What lay at the bottom of the falls was not merely the talus rock and unseen geography that everyone had been expecting. There were some grisly sights to behold as well. Revealed by the disappearing water was a shocking number of bones and remains. To make matters worse, they were human remains. This unfortunate discovery caused quite a stir, and needless to say, everyone had questions. 2 bodies were revealed at the bottom of the falls. It was determined that the remains belonged to a man and a woman. Unfortunately, no one could shed any light on who these 2 unfortunate souls might once have been. Naturally, many rumors began to circulate regarding the possible identities and fates of these 2 unknown people. One of the rumors claimed that the man might have committed suicide by jumping to his death. No one could shed any light on the possible identity of the Jane Doe, however. Not only was her identity a mystery, but so too was the series of events that might have led to her ending up where she did. No one can blame the engineers and other crew for being rather perturbed by the horrifying discoveries that they had made. However, that wasn't what was most surprising. Strange as it may seem, it was even more puzzling that there weren't any other bodies found too. This is certainly strange if you consider the long and dark history surrounding the falls. As shocking as the discovery of the 2 bodies was, the lack of other bodies was even more puzzling. Approximately 5,000 bodies have been discovered at the base of the falls between 1850 and 2011 alone. According to statistics, between 20 and 40 suicides are assumed to be committed at these falls annually. These grim facts are the reason why the discovery of only 2 bodies in 1969 was so baffling. Thrill seekers have taken the daring plunge from the fall's peak since the 1820s, having built inventive barrels and casks to topple over the falls in. These daredevils keep trying to brave these falls, knowing full well that they are risking their lives. With fingers crossed, only a few have survived the audacious feat. The most famous survivor is arguably Annie Edson Taylor, who took the plunge over the falls in 1901, cradled inside a wooden barrel. Reportedly, the adventurer said, "No one ought to ever do that again," after her triumph. Sadly, many didn't heed her warning, which explains some of the found remains. Being less dreadful but more disruptive, millions of coins were too found among the talus collection in 1969. That's a whole lot of wishes. Still, coins and bodies aside, the engineers still needed to get the falls gushing with water again. Believe it or not, after the intense and wildly expensive construction at the American Falls, engineers decided to leave the eroded talus as it was. This decision was made after they realized that the rock supported the cliff face behind. Though it sounds absurd, the project didn't go without purpose. It opened up an opportunity to give the American Falls some much-needed TLC. The crews and engineers set to work trying to find a way to restore this precious landmark. With the help of anchors, bolts, and cables, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers worked on stabilizing the falls so it could glisten and gleam for years to come.